Welcome members to another weekly market update. It's very important this week you check the overall stock market update. I had quite a lot to say about it there, as something I said 2 weeks ago about this impending correction looks definitely at least an inflection point, if not more likely than it was. This is a chart of the South Korean stock market. If you were at the recent seminar or you just got the DVDs from it, which was about there, 3rd of July. I put this chart up there and I went into length about what was some unusual military activity in the around the Korean Peninsula, and I then put this chart on the board. So it looked like a very vulnerable position. And in this last week, we've seen a lot of saber rattling on both sides about the whole Korean episode. So the market went up a little bit, which is why I don't like to short things because they're still on the way up when they're still on the way up. But then this last week or so, the things finally started to turn, and now this looks very vulnerable just as things start to heat up there. And there's the daily chart. And we had on Friday, actually, we had the move that I was looking for, which here's this support area here, around 2360, which we could also see on the chart here. There was an important neckline there that got broken, and it just broke that line there just on Friday. It might be a little bump back to 2350, but let's look at the way I found to short this on IG Index, if I was so inclined, was to WWK. That's listed on IG Index as the iShares MSCI Korea Index. You can sell that if you wish. There's that. It just mirrors what the index is doing. There's that support area there, and you can see on Friday it just broke it around there. I would want to be in there at a tight entry around between 66 and 67, no more than that, and a close above that would get me out again. If I just put it on the weekly chart here, yeah, I mean, it's just, in any case, this, like as I pointed out, this is extremely extended above its moving average anyway. And even if the whole conflict was called off, this thing's due for a healthy correction one way or the other. And I don't think it will be. I think something has bound to happen one way or the other. So that's one opportunity that I identified recently is finally coming back. Which, on the subject of Asia, I'm going to put up this frustrating position I've had open, the FX, shorting the yen, FXY, because it keeps dithering around. I mean, if you look at the weekly chart, and here's the other thing. I don't know if people realise, but Korea is actually not far from Japan. It's like a little boat ride away, and North Korea's missiles are aimed at Japan and getting Japan involved. So I'm very confused. 1, 2. When this market correction does happen, all money is going to flood to the dollar, and that's going to strengthen the dollar, weaken the yen, and that's only going to exacerbate the effect of what is a horrendous chart. This aggressively down moving average. Anything can happen, but this is, like I said, this is based on dollar weakness rather than yen strength, because everything's pegged to the dollar. So this is getting very ahead of itself. However, I said I'd be out when it gets up to around 90ish, I think. Actually, I was in around there, so 5% I've given myself. But then it's just, eventually when it comes back down, it gets below that 40 week again, it's going to come down hard. So the short yen trade is it's very much fundamentally good trade. I think the long-term moving average is saying it's just going down, but the short-term action has been frustrating, which is it's doing its bouncing around thing, not really paying much attention to the moving average, it seems, just chugging along sideways here. Dithering around, and so puzzling, but the market always does what it's supposed to, just never went. So that's one of those trades that it's just going to happen. It's just about patience, but having said that, if it goes up, I'm getting out, and I'll go back in when it goes down and finally comes to its senses. TILE is a trade I had on, and that's still sort of jagging around in there, and that's actually a good entry point if I was so inclined. Again, there you can see that rising moving average is right there. At the very least, it's a tight stop. It's tight entry stop loss, which is the name of the game. And AXS, I don't really care for the action here. I was in around there, and it's just messing around, and it's basically it's like a break even, but I just don't like it how it's persisting below its moving average there. So I'll get out of that one. Regarding new trades, I'm not interested in the stock market right now for reasons discussed in the other one. So that is why I'm looking at alternative things like the Korean stock market. Also looking at currencies now. Let's look at the pound, and it's a much more positive picture for the pound. It's a very steppy picture, this, which is an orderly situation, which I like. To step there, step there, step down, find support, comes up here, has another step, and it's getting back above its 70-week moving average, which is a key average I like. And I think, if we just get the 40-week back up here a bit, what could set this back, though, is, as I've said, a correction in the stock market as money will flood back to the dollar. So this is another thing, another reason why it's good to know about short-term action in the market. It's not just trades, it's currency action as well. Too many people have got on one side of the trade. Stock market up, dollar down. When that happens, it's always going to be turning around imminently. Case in point, the euro. The euro has just been on a tear, and you can see here it's been flying. Went into SV60 around there, and that would have profited those following that system. But at some point now, when the correction comes, it's going to hit the euro hard, at least in the short term. It's not something I would short, but what it's going to create is some opportunities to get back in, when the correction is over, and scared off the late money, the dumb money. Here's another one here in the Australian dollar. I like how this is kind of broke above resistance there. And if it has a little pullback now to around 76ish, that'll be when any market correction, that'll be a good entry point. Looking at currencies, I see a lot of things pointing to this short-term correction. I've been talking about more and more in the last week or two. Let's check in on gold. And what of my case about saying dollar weakness is the only thing in favour of that yen trade is exemplified right here. The gold is going up because the dollar's going down. That's all it is. It's just dollar weakness, and it's been flying. Interested to see actually how gold reacts in this next, because it's been so long since there's been a meaningful market correction. I just think it's unbelievable. It's ridiculous why there's not been a meaningful correction in all this time. I've hired a young guy to do stock picks in my company in the US. And I can't even educate him about it. He's never even seen a market correction for the whole. He's nearly been here a year now, and he hasn't even seen a market correction. So, and I think the market's going to make up for that when it comes. I really do. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens to gold in the next market correction. If it's because that we haven't seen gold's action really during this bull market much, other than just dithering along sideways like this. So that will be something to watch. I'm not going to put any new trades on. I've got things open, and watching the currencies as well as the Korean stock market. Booked some good profits in this bull market so far, and I'm excited about let's get this correction, let's get on with it, scare out the weak money. And we're gonna look at the opportunities that are going to come from that. There's a lot of things in an uptrend right now, and when they just bounce back into that rising moving average, 200-day moving averages, beautiful opportunities are going to be coming up soon. So I'm going to keep the powder dry, and I will speak to you next week.